What's up, everybody? This is Talkin All That Kazz, and I am DJ Kazzeo. I want to thank you for checking out this particular episode of Talkin All That Kazz. On this particular episode, I got another great interview that I conducted here on my radio show at 90.9 FM KHTC in Salinas, California. But before we get going with that, I want you to go to this address, djkazzeo.com, and connect with me on social media. Whether it's on my Facebook, on my Instagram, on my Twitter, or even if you go and subscribe to my Mixcloud channel, you can hear all my radio shows that I do in their entirety, music, commentary, and interviews. But this right here, Talkin All That Kazz, this is for just the interviews, okay? I want to thank everybody who checked out the first round of interviews that I put up. Now we're on to the second round. This particular round, I'm going to focus on 2019, but I'm going to sprinkle it in with some more current stuff too. So you never know what you're going to get. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy another edition of Talkin All That Kazz with me, DJ Kazzeo. That's right, man. We back in the place right here. It's 90.9 FM KHTC Radio Bilingüe here in Salinas and Monterey, 104.1 FM out there in Hollister, San Juan Bautista, and South Gilroy.
Also on WednesdayRec.com for sure.
Exactly, man. Joined right now by a very special guest. This guy, man, I remember playing this guy's records back in 95, going way back to the days of where my homies. We got Al Skratch from the Ill and Al Skratch. What's up, Al?
Yeah, what's good, my peoples? How y'all feeling?
That's right, man. That's right. We good, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm feeling fantastic, man. Very enthusiastic. I want to thank y'all for having me on the airwaves, man. Broadcasting live from NYC, Brooklyn, New York, man, out in Cali. It's all love.
No doubt, man. No doubt.
Definitely.
So like I was saying, man, going back to Ill and Al Skratch, I mean, we got to start at the beginning. How did Ill and Al Skratch come together?
Yo, it's amazing how Ill and Al Skratch came together. That's a beautiful story, man. Of course, you know, we were in the studio, and back in the days in New York City, there wasn't a lot of, studios that was doing hip-hop or rap music. So the fact that me and my man Big Ill the Mac had the same producer, LG, you know what I'm saying, the large guard LG Experience, who was working on both our projects. And coincidentally, I did a demo track with my man Big Ill, who was in the Source magazine. They had a column called Unsigned Hype, of which he, Biggie, a lot of other underground MCs was actually in. I had a deal with the label, but the demo I did with him called Creep With Me was something that we had worked on, and then the situation that I had with the label had kind of fell through because of the partner I was with, and then we did a collabo, and we did the remix for Creep With Me, which everybody knows is Where's My Homie. So that's how me and my man Big Ill actually met. It was in the studio, just working, grinding, being in that lab all day, all night, you know what I'm saying? And that's how we, we came about with the group.
It's interesting because wasn't obviously the first single that came out was Where My Homies, but wasn't Creep With Me also the next single?
Creep With Me actually wasn't the single. Creep With Me was the album. The second follow-up single to Where My Homies was the I'll Take a Brian McKnight single that we had, which was more catered towards like R&B and like a lot of, the female genre. But it was cool because a lot of the things on the album we had already recorded, but the label felt as though, since me and Ill had this marketability, they wanted to try to project us into another area, which was successful for the group, and I'm very appreciative of the fact that they actually had the vision to see that we were a little more marketable than just staying underground. So I'm humbled by the fact that we were able to hit the Billboard charts and make some noise on the level with, an R&B guy like Brian McKnight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a label mate of yours right there, so it all ties in together.
Exactly. And Brian, he's out there in L.A. right now, you know what I'm saying? He's a big basketball dude. I came out there with a couple events, and, we shot some hoops. So, it was all love. It was a natural, organic thing to have him on the record. So it's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
definitely a humble guy. It's funny because a friend of mine who lives down in L.A., his daughter used to go to kindergarten with Brian McKnight's daughter, and I remember one time going with him to pick her up from school, and Brian McKnight was right there picking up his kid too. So it's cool stuff.
regular dude, man. He's a real regular dude, you know?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You know, so, I mean, obviously, you break through with Where My Homies, and then you take it to another level. You get the success with I'll Take Her, which got a lot of video play and a lot of commercial play. I mean, you know, what was, like, your full, just what did you take away from that first album, that first, like, year and a half that you guys were really, like, you know, blazing up the trail?
Well, I got to be honest with you. During that time, that was a very special moment in history as far as rap is concerned. Looking back now, people call it the golden era. But, you know, just being in that locker room or that cafeteria in high school with, you know, Biggie, Nas, Jay-Z, Wu-Tang, I mean, that was a very elite group. And to actually be mentioned amongst those people and, you know, rappers and MCs who are now at the echelon of what they call hip-hop history was very, very special. But, you know, to move on and do work with, like, Shaq, you know, and projects with Michael Jackson on the remix on They Don't Really Care About Us and other things like that, it's very, to me, it's very special because when you're in the moment and you're doing it and you're just a kid out of Brooklyn, you never know where it's going to take you. You know, you just on the block, you know, you drinking the beers, you puffing the 1-2, you know, you meet and Be Real in the studio. You're seeing a lot of people come through the studio. You never know where it's going to be. So looking back, it was very special moment in time and history, especially for me in my career.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. V-Dog, you got a question there?
Oh, no. I'm just, I didn't realize you did a remix with Michael Jackson. They Don't Really Care About Us. That's crazy. And I just got to say, I didn't hear about you guys till 97, but then again, I was 13 at the time and I came into hip hop late. So I was a little bit later on that side. But I heard about you guys in 97. It was the second album. But I remember I really liked that song, Yo Love. I love that beat, and I love the way you guys flowed on it. I just, but I mean, I always heard your guys' name. I just was a little bit late into it, so I apologize.
Yo, V-Dog, let me tell you the special thing about you coming in at the time that you did. You know, hip-hop, when you're in the culture of hip-hop, it really has no age. See,
right.
The thing about hip-hop, it's like a feeling. It's a vibration that you have and you share with a community and the people. That's the beauty of true, real hip-hop. And the fact that you came in on the second album, that has no bearing on where your soul is because you can always go back and what, you know, there's a crew out here called Digging in the Crates. I'm pretty sure your listeners are aware of that with Diamond D,
Lord Finesse. Yeah.
So I mean, it's like, you know, the fact that you got in at whatever time you got in, as long as you could dig back in the crates and your soul can feel the presence and the essence of where it came from, that's what hip hop is about. You know, on that Keep It Moving album, that album was actually an album to where we was kind of saying like sayonara to the label and the situation that was occurring, which was the digital age and things moving away from vinyl. And technology was coming into place, and me being a DJ out Skratch, we had the foresight to know, like, all right, these things are changing, and it might not really be for us because it was something where it was like we didn't really know what was happening. A lot of things occurred. There were some murders and deaths with Big and Pac, and it was kind of like we got into hip hop because it was fun. We was doing this to get away from the elements of the street. So, you know, even though you were whatever age you were when you first got awareness about Ill Al Skratch and what we were doing, you know, like you just mentioned, you know, the song with Michael Jackson, They Don't Really Care About Us, even though that was a remix to a political song, it was like we were growing and elevating ourselves, you know, musically as artists, and people can always go back in time, and music, you know, what they say is art imitates life. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
What's happening now a lot, I'm seeing that life is trying to imitate art, and that really shouldn't be. So I'm really grateful at the fact that I have the opportunity to speak to you guys and come back with this new music that I'm going to be presenting to the public, because my absence is something that allowed me to grow and evaluate my whole situation, and to, you know, just pick the perfect time for me to come back to display and exhibit what it is I really wanted to show my people in the hip-hop community and beyond, what it is Al Skratch really and truly has to offer.
Well, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about that. You mentioned your absence. Now, in between the time of Ill and Al Skratch and, you know, you coming back now with the new single, what exactly has been going down? I mean, where you been? What happened with the group? You know, give us the 411.
Well, you know, the group is never officially broken up. Me and my partner, Il. Actually, I spoke to Il 3 days ago, actually. And I was asking him to actually do something for me. I got him to you know, do a drop for me. He gave me some insight and opinion on some of this music that I have, and he loved it. And he, you know, he's all for me doing my thing. He's really removed from the music industry altogether, which I respect. And, you know, a lot of DJs reached out to him, and they respect the fact that he's removed from it for now. You know, nothing is impossible, so I won't take that off the burner completely. But as far as me, you know, music has always been my passion. That's something that I grew up with as a child, and I always knew this is something I was destined to do. Il and I have music that we worked on, and we never really released commercially, but I have a whole catalog of music that Skratch has, and one day, when the time is right, I'm going to present it. It's going to be packaged right. I'm going to do the right thing. But for now, it's about Skratch and what it is I'm going to present to the people as far as me personally growing and maturing within myself as an artist and putting that out to the public. So with me personally, I just been taking care of family, you know, growing. I do some production, you know, nothing that everybody is aware of out in the music industry as a whole, but, you know, I produce, you know, I DJ. I've been DJing and I do shows. Actually, I just came back from Colombia and Brazil.
Wow.
You know, I was working with one of my partners out here in Brooklyn, Blase Day. That's another project that I have going on. But right now, I'm trying to push forth this Skratch project, Mr. Constant, and I'm excited. I'm enthusiastic, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to making a nice, you know, exhibit of what it is I have to offer as an MC, an artist. You know, I don't want to say rapper because a lot of people take that rapper term and it has a negative connotation to it. So I don't really want to say rapper, but, you know, y'all guys know where I come from. I'm pretty sure the listeners know where I come from. I'll get busy with the most busiest of the busiest. You know what I'm saying? But I'm excited and I'm happy to be presenting this project to you in the very near future.
Well, definitely, man. You know, I'm very envious. You said you got out there to Colombia. I need to go out there and find me one of them Shakira type girls.
Listen, man, let me explain something to you. First of all, besides the women, the food.
Oh, I can imagine.
The food, man, it's just such a beautiful thing, man. And let me tell you something about Colombia, man. They really, truly embrace this hip-hop culture. I mean, it's, you know, doing shows here in New York and on the East Coast and Midwest is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But when you go to a show in another continent and guys and girls have your actual release still wrapped in plastic and want you to sign it, and they don't want to open it, that takes you to a whole nother level.
Sorry.
And they know every song on the album word for word, and they're chanting that with you at a show. That's the most incredible feeling. It lets you know how privileged you are to really be in the presence of people who really appreciate what it is you did some years ago. So that's very humbling, and I'm really grateful for the people outside of America who can look at what we do as our culture here, and they don't take it for granted. They really appreciate it. So that was very humbling for me.
You know, it's funny. It's like you're like one in a long list of artists that I've spoke to. They always say, you know, as good as it is doing shows here in America, it's 100 times better doing it in other countries because they just, for whatever reason, they appreciate the imports that much more.
Exactly. And I think it's the fact, when I was talking to a couple of promoters, it's the fact that, you know, a lot of artists, they won't go only because, let's say, for example, the financial situation might not be the best, you know, but when you look at it from the aspect of, you know what, these are people who really haven't seen a lot of artists, and they really want to see you. And it might not be a big festival of 10,000 or 30,000, because they got some really big stadiums over there in those other countries where they play soccer or what they call football. That, you know, the Rolling Stones, they pack those stadiums. But when you can sell out a club like I did, 3,000, 4,000, to me, that's big to me. And you got people in there, they're waiting online to get backstage, to have you sign something and take a picture. I appreciate that, man. And the real artist knows the value and people really, really, really appreciate your art, and especially when they wait 5, 10, 20, how many ever years just to see you live. And they say, yo, I never thought I would ever get to see you live. And they say that. Most of these people don't even speak the language you speak, but your album allows them to speak your language. That's
Exactly.
a very, very serious situation, man. And I don't take
That's
that
love.
light. So very special moments over there outside of the country.
No doubt, man. No doubt. So, before we drop into the current single that you got out now, what's the long term the long term plan? You got an EP, an album, or something coming out?
Yeah. I'm working on an album right now. My team is getting together. Let me tell you, man, we got some dope producers that's lining up, making some submissions. I'm not at the liberty to discuss any names at this point.
Okay.
But, right now with this Body Rock song, it's produced by my man Psycho Les, legendary, should I say, Psycho Les from the legendary Beat Nuts crew.
Yep.
Psycho Les has a couple of other joints he produced that I'm working on with him right now. I mean, I got a lot of joints. And what we're going to do at the end of the game is we're going to listen down, and the ones that we feel fit that should go on the album, we'll do that with the team collectively. But I got a lot of music that I'm going to be releasing, man, from a lot of producers that people are aware of, and then there's some people that, producers who are up and coming. Because what I want to do is I want to shed light on the up and coming, man. That's what hip hop is about too. It's not about just getting people who you can pay to get on the album or produce because they have a name. It's about those guys and girls who may not have the liberty or the opportunity to showcase their skills. But they don't, though. And I want to do that. That's what Our Skratch is about, because I was one of those people who was knocking at the door like, yo, I could rap, or yo, I could DJ. Can I DJ? Can I get a spot? And people turn you away, man. And right now, with the culture being where it is and the opportunities that exist, it's more than enough room for everybody to be involved, man. And I want to provide that opportunity to people, man. And I really mean that sincerely from my heart,
Well, speaking upon that, elaborate a little bit on that as far as where do you see the current state of the quote unquote culture? I mean, what's good about it? What's bad about it? What's your take on the whole thing?
That's what I was going to
I'll tell you, let's build on the positive, man. The good thing about it is that the culture is being exposed at a level it's never been exposed to before. So I got to say, for me, knowing where it's been shut out of a lot of situations, to be now accepted in many places, whether it may be, let's say fashion, let's say, for example, just recently, a Super Bowl commercial. I mean, it's incredible to where the culture has expanded to. Now, the negative part of it is that a lot of people look at it and they say, oh, well, I'm hearing these, 5 songs on the radio all day, or it just sounds like trap, or it sounds like this. I beg to differ, because you know what? Those are people who are in situations where financially they got a backing that allows them to be on that program format, which is cool. That's okay. But there are other avenues and areas and resources to where you can go and get. If you want some boom bap, you could go get boom bap. If you want some, let's say positive pro-black rap, you could go get that too. There's like areas to where you can go and fish and you can get whatever type of music genre you could actually get. So that's a good thing. Even though people may look at it as a negative thing to where, oh, I'm only hearing this on the radio, that's only if you stuck on listening to that particular radio station every day.
Mm-hmm.
There's radio stations that are not, on FM or let's say, for example, online or satellite. You can actually get and download stations to where they're playing stuff that you will never hear on the radio. I've even heard some of my artists say, and when I say my artists, I mean artists that I know from a genre or let's say a certain caliber that say, I would never want to be played on this commercial radio station, because to them, that's the beginning of the end, and they don't want that. They want to have that gradual, slow grind and be forever present with the people on the subsurface level, because that's where they exist, and that's what they know. Like me, myself, personally, as a graffiti writer, I'd never thought, graffiti would get to, let's say, for example, the point to where my boy John 1 from Uptown 156 is now in Paris, where he's doing murals inside of like a house where it's like, graffiti is like looked upon as like this most prestigious thing, and you have these super rich, powerful people who say, listen, John, can you do this for my son's room, or can you do the backyard this way? When you're coming from a subway inside of New York City where rats are running, there's no lights and it's crazy and it's the third rail where you can get electrocuted, you never have that concept to where you could be in a position of where you have unlimited amounts of cans and spray paint and markers to where you can really do your thing where it's no limit. So I'm looking at it as, to me, the culture has expanded and grew, and I'm just talking from the aspect of an MC rapper. But I see things online where people are breakdancing. We got competitions to where I'm seeing people in Korea, Denmark, Switzerland, and it's like, yo, this is something that started in the Bronx or the Five Boroughs, and to see it on almost every continent, to me, that's amazing, B. That's truly amazing. Can't be nothing negative with that as far as I'm concerned, because Al is positive. You feel me?
Right.
Yes.
Well, it truly has become universal, so you can't knock it in any way, shape, or form. The only thing I would say, not to get off on a tangent, some of the people that are categorized as hip-hop now, like, they're not hip-hop, and they're more interested in making a spectacle of themselves on TMZ than they are about, like, actually making good music. So that's where I have a problem with some of these younger cats that are out there. They're not doing anything for the music.
Right, and you know what? I agree with you on that, and I'll take it a step further to where it's more like it's a position of where they're getting into it through, guess what? The internet. They just know the culture. It's like somebody saying, hey, listen, my father was an engineer, and I just know that I'm in the company, boom, boom, boom. I never went to school. I don't know the trade. However, once they start making money and they see that there's journeymen underneath them who know how to build and construct things and know how things become successful, the real guys, they go, oh, snap, you know what? So how do we do this? How is it? Really? Oh, snap, there was a Melly Mel? The Message? What is that about? Oh, snap, Ice Cube used that sample? Really? Oh, check yourself before you wreck yourself, Dr. And they start putting the pieces together and they want to get the knowledge and learn. You got to have respect for those guys, too. But you're absolutely right in the fact that when the money is the situation to where that's the goal and the objective, to me, that's completely wrong, because hip-hop was derived off of poverty. And when you understand that it was created from a situation out of desperate need to where, things were taken away from people living in the ghetto, and what they did was they stole electricity. They gathered some records from their moms and their pops' collection. They put one turntable together with another turntable, and they were ingenious about how they made music happen. They wired up some speakers, and they gathered. Listen, man, to me, that's like how could somebody think that to happen? It's got to be something that's so unique to where it's like these guys were way beyond what it is today. But they just didn't know the monetary value of what it is that they were doing. So for people to come in now and to not have respect for how it was all created and organized, that is a problem. That's why there should be OGs like you, myself, whoever's out there to say, look, listen, young folk, this is how it happened. This is how it began. Because it's really not about the money. You could lose all the money, or you could gain all the money and still not have the respect.
Exactly. It like the line from the OC song, I'd rather be broke than have a whole lot of respect.
There you go. There you go, right there.
So, hey, man, if people want to catch up with you online through social media, what are some of the sites they can find you on?
It's Al Skratch everything, man. That's ALSKRATCH. I'm on that Instagram. I'm on that Twitter. I'm on that Facebook. I'm everywhere. I'm on that YouTube. AlSkratch.com. That's ALSKRATCH.com. Body Rock is the new single, like I mentioned before, produced by my man Psycho Legs from the legendary Beat Nuts. It's on iTunes, Spotify, all digital formats. And that's just the first joint, just to warm them up. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot of joints coming after. I got separate projects that I'm working on. I got my other Al Skratch project that I'm working on just for people who want to know what's going on with Al Skratch in regards to the MC lyricist. Because a lot of people don't think, oh, this guy's a spitter. They know me as the melodic, harmonious guy, right? The cool guy, right? The smooth brother, right?
Yep.
They don't know about, They don't know about the real MC dude, but I'm about to showcase all that skill, man. Trust me. When you know about fine wine, right? Yo, V-Dog, y'all know about fine wine. You know what they say about fine wine?
I definitely do. Definitely.
The longer you wait to open up that cork, the finer that taste is going to be, that aroma, that impact.
How did
So
you know?
Trust me, that's what y'all going to be getting when you hear After Skratch tune and record. It's coming. It's not going to be stopped ever.
Exactly, man. So you know what? Let's get into it. This is the new single, Al Skratch, produced by Psycho Les from the Beat Nuts. This is called Body Rock. We'll be back in a second right here. It's 90.9 KHTC. 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 KHTC.